G'day there guys, it's Ben and Simon here from Pumps on Property. Now in today's video, we're going to share some of the tips and tricks that we've learned from buying over 250 million bucks worth of property in Brisbane to help you identify the best area of the city, the best suburbs in the city with potential for capital growth and strong cash flow, as well as the right properties in those suburbs at the moment. So it's going to be a quick action-packed video. Super excited to bring this info to you.
Now, Brizzy is slowly but surely becoming one of Australia's biggest metro markets, and it's definitely not one market up here. There's markets within markets, and you really need to kind of understand the differences between those areas. So breaking it down, the first one is sort of the CBD, or that's what we like to call it, which is like your 10-kilometre radius from the city, and where you're sort of buying properties for at least $1 million nowadays.
Yeah, so this is a beautiful area, great infrastructure, great school districts, really good access to public transport, really good access to high paying jobs. And there's a whole range of properties. You know, we like the large blocks of land with the houses on them, but you know, there's a whole bunch of other affordable stuff there for certain people as well.
Now, we actually grew up down in Sydney in the Sutherland Shire near the beaches down there, so we definitely have a little bit of a soft spot for being closer to the water. And there's sort of two different parts of Brizzy where you can buy within sort of 5 kilometres from the beach that represents a hell of a lot of value, and that's up in the northeastern beaches and also the southeastern beaches. Now, they're not the beaches like you get in Sydney or up here on the Sunshine Coast. You know, they're more bayside, but still got all of those lifestyle factors with epic restaurants and cafes, really good school districts, great public transport options, and still super affordable. Like, we're still buying properties under $600,000 in both of these areas.
Incredible. Like, when you compare them versus the Manlys or the Sydneys in Sydney, Cronulla's in Sydney, or you look at the places like the Mornington Peninsula or Port of Melbourne or St Kilda in Melbourne or even Geelong, these places are still cents in the dollar, and they are absolutely stunning. There's renovators for those of you that want to get your hands dirty. There's nice big blocks for those of you that want to do something a bit more creative, and there's heaps and heaps of high quality homes that you can just put in your portfolio for the next 15 to 30 years and then clean up to sell off for a profit whenever you want to down the line.
The reason that we love the beaches so much is just because of that scarcity, right? You can't create any more land by the beaches, and if you look at some of the examples around Australia, you know, they have performed so well. So that's one of the areas that we love. You know, we both personally own properties near the beaches up here in Brizzy as well. But then you've got sort of another couple of areas as well, which is the northern suburbs and the southern suburbs, which represent a lot of value. They're so much more affordable with really strong rental yields. You know, we're still buying properties within about 20 Ks of the city for less than $400,000 in some of these suburbs.
You know, it's quite incredible. You know, these are the pockets that are on the fringes. So what's happened in Brisbane, the same as Sydney as Melbourne, is places really close to that CBD within 10 Ks have just gone absolutely nuts in the last 5 years. But that ripple effect has yet to hit these more affordable areas. So between 20 and 30 Ks north and south out of the city, great schools, good incomes, very low vacancy rates, great DSR scores, which we'll talk about more in a moment. And as Simon said, like, we're buying places for literally between 350K and 500 grand that represent really good value. In some of these pockets, there might even be the potential to put in a granny flat for a secondary income as well. So again, like, really, really affordable. Now, if I was to look at the eastern pockets of Melbourne, which represent great long-term value, or the southeastern parts of Sydney or the northeastern parts, which are the kind of comparable areas, again, these parts of Brisbane are literally 50 cents in the dollar right now. So super, super affordable and great long-term buying.
100%. Now, you really got to obviously identify one of these areas and nail it down to one. And that's going to be depending on your budget. It's going to be depending on your property investment goals as well. But if you're looking at all of these different areas, you're going to find it impossible to make a decision, especially if you're comparing an area 10 Ks from the city with an area that's, 30 Ks from the city. There's going to be differences up here in Brizzy, and That's one thing that we've noticed as well from buying so many properties throughout all of these different pockets in Brizzy, is that one suburb from another really makes a difference. So identifying which pocket of Brisbane you want to invest in is the first step. Then once you've identified that pocket, you really want to narrow it down to 2, maybe 3 suburbs, and there's a bunch of demographics that we like to look at to make that decision easier.
The demos that I like to look at is the DSR score, so that's the demand to supply ratio score. Generally in Brisbane, I want to be targeting a suburb with a DSR score between about 60 and 75 out of 100, which means there's strong demand, which could result in medium-term price growth, but it's not over 80% where people are going feral and you're competing with 100 people a weekend, like some parts of the city.
Yeah.
We also like areas with a lower percentage of renters, a higher percentage of owner-occupiers. I like suburbs with a very low vacancy rate because as an investor, the quicker I can get a tenant in the property, the better. And I also like to target areas with a good average household income. So again, effectively, the more people earn, the higher the house prices and rents can go in the future. So there's some of the fundamentals. Honestly, as a business, we have about another 100 at least that we apply to. You don't want any flooding issues. You don't want any housing commission issues. You want to make sure you're doing all of your checks with your building and pest inspectors, solicitors. But they're the fundamental ones. If you're comparing this suburb on the beach versus that one, for example, in the north side of Brisbane beaches, there's a suburb called Deception Bay, Scarborough. They are next to each other. And as an interstate investor or a local, you might not see the big difference on the map. But one of the suburbs has 60% housing commission. The other one is like $1 million area. So it's really, really important to do these fundamentals and to make sure you select the right suburb or partner with someone that can help you find the right suburb.
Same thing goes down on the south side as well, where you've got a suburb like Shayla Park versus Logan Lee that are literally less than 5 kilometres away from one another, but the demographics within both of these locations are starkly different. So, really getting granular on these things is important. We also like to look at those intrinsic values like lifestyle-based things, whether there's a national park nearby or a beach nearby or, something to add a little bit of value to the area that's not just living, like having a roof over your head.
Now, what I love about Brisbane at the moment is it's a much, much more diversified economy than it used to be. So you've got the Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast job markets that are big on tourism, healthcare, government services, hospitality as well, and then and entrepreneurship too. You've got a lot of successful business people basing out of these areas for lifestyle. And then you get Brisbane, CBD, which has all the white collar jobs, big on mining. A lot of the big international businesses and Australian businesses like Flight Centre are basing themselves out of there now. Huge government, huge healthcare, huge infrastructure and construction industry. And then on the northern side and the southern sides around Logan and the Moreton Bay, there's a huge amount of government jobs, again, a huge amount of education jobs, great universities as well coming in. A lot of infrastructure projects and jobs too. So that's what I love about this area at the moment. Incomes, I think, in Brisbane are higher per household now than Melbourne and about 6 to 8% below Sydney, although house prices are just so much more affordable.
There's so much value around at the moment. And then you're looking at the property level as well. So when you get to the property level, there's 3 things that we just won't budge on, and it's essentially always buying houses, always buying on a nice big block of land, and always buying in those nice, quiet, family-friendly streets. I like to look at it as though, would I be happy to let my kids play out on the street in this area? And, that kind of determines whether or not I would like to buy on that street.
I love that, man. So we hope you've enjoyed this video, which is a bit of an update on what's going on in Brisbane. Just to summarise, we love the CBD, we love the northern beaches and the southern beaches, and we like those, inner to outer ring suburbs that are a little bit further away on the north and south side. For those of you who have been looking at Brisbane for a while and are asking for some support or needing some support up here, we would love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session where either myself, Simon, or one of the team members will talk about where you are, where you'd like to be in the future. We'll then educate you on the Brisbane market and give you everything we know, and you can take that and either go smash it on your own, or you can become one of the small number of clients that we work with each month. All you need to do there again is go to www.pumpedonproperty.com, book in your free strategy session, and yeah, we really appreciate your time and hope this video helps point you in the right direction of what you want to achieve in Brisbane. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, sweaty. So sweaty.